guys are all corrupt. You guys are all corrupt.
Rafael Nadal fought past both physical struggles and a late surge from Denis Shapovalov, winning 6-3, 6-4, 4-6, 3-6, 6-3 to reach his 7th Australian Open semifinal. Now, before I get into this match, there was a moment of controversy early in the second set, as Shapovalov was angry at umpire Carlos Bernardes for not giving Rafa a time violation warning because he took so long to get back to the baseline after the break, which succeeded the end of the opening set. Denis complained that the umpire started the clock to begin play 45 seconds prior, and Nadal was still not ready to play. Bernardes refused to quote the Spaniard and then called out Shapo for holding up play with his objections. He then said, "You guys are all corrupt," twice, before walking back to the baseline to serve. Then, after Shapovalov sealed the opening game, Bernardes inside of the debate, feeling like the 14th seed was starting more drama. He asked Shapo, "What do you want?" to which Denis replied, "What are you looking at?" Then Bernardes said, "You were looking at me. There were 8 seconds to play. What do you want? Why are you looking at me like I need to watch the clock when you have the shot clock? So it disturbs me." Nadal then approached Denis at the net to ask what the issue was before the Canadian quickly backed off and went right back to receive. I definitely understand Denis's argument, especially in that case, because Nadal was taking a pretty long time to get ready to return. Tennis is supposed to be played by the server's pace, but Nadal just does things on his own time, which is probably because he knows he can get away with it. Denis echoed these same sentiments in the press while acknowledging the poor taste with the corruption statement.
I think I misspoke when I said that he's corrupt or whatever. I said, it's definitely emotional, but I do stand by my side. I think it's unfair, how much Rafa's getting away with. I mean, I'm completely ready to play, and the clock is ticking. 3, 2, 1. It's clicking towards 0, and I'm looking at the ump, and I'm going to speak up and say something. I mean, I've been ready to play for a minute and a half, and he tells me that he's not going to give him a code violation because I'm not ready to play. And to me, it's a big joke. He was getting medically evaluated. That's what the ump said after the 4th set. Getting medically evaluated, and after the evaluation, the guy goes and takes a toilet break. And it's just like, where's the line, And again, I respect everything that Rafa's done, and I think he's an unbelievable player. But, there's got to be some boundaries, some rules set, and it's so frustrating as a player. You feel like you're not just playing against the player, you're playing against the umpires, you're playing against, so much more.
Nadal responded to the unfair treatment claims and said that Denis was wrong in his earlier complaints.
Normally at the end of the sets, the umpire gives you some extra time, especially under these very humid conditions, to change the clothes, because that's obvious that you can't play with the clothes in the condition that I was. I think in that moment, Denis got, pissed in that moment because the umpire called time, and I needed like 30 seconds extra to keep changing my clothes. No, I think in that moment, and I think it's fair enough that Carlos give me this extra time at that moment, because normally I think Carlos make a small mistake in that moment that he called time, and normally at the end of the set, the umpire look around and wait a little bit to call time. In my opinion, Denis was wrong in that case. I understand that he just lost the set, and he gonna understand a little bit later that normally you have some time to change your clothes. And when I went to the bathroom at the end of the second set, as I don't know if you know, guys, but we have a new rule for this year. Normally, I think was Stefanos. I was not on the tour, but that's what I heard, that Stefanos take it a very long time last year, a couple of times. You don't deserve a better treatment than the others, and I really don't want it, and I don't feel I have it. And without a doubt, even as everybody knows, that I have a huge respect for Carlos, and I think he's a great umpire. It's not the case that he was always hard with me on court, no. So no, I don't think that's the case. In the mind that the top players gets a bigger advantages, no. And honestly, on court is not true. I really believe that he's wrong in that case. No, if I'm not wrong, in the last couple of years, we have a clock. We increase the measures to make the things more fair for everyone.
I side with Shapovalov in this case because if we're specifically looking at that instance early in the second set, Rafa was taking his sweet time while Shapovalov was ready to serve. I know he said that Denis plays fast, but he was taking advantage of Bernardes not enforcing that rule as strictly. Nadal mentioned changing his clothes after the second set, but the true issue happened following the opener, so I don't think that he really addressed Shapovalov's concerns. Anyways, transitioning back to the actual match, Nadal came out and played tremendously, serving strong and hitting penetrating groundies to prevent himself from being attacked. Shapovalov played a very messy second service game to get broken, and he really struggled to adjust to the faster conditions out there. I admittedly didn't take weather into account when making my preview yesterday because I foolishly assumed that the match was going to be a night session one. However, it was played in the heat of the day, which is to Rafa's advantage, as his heavy spin shots jumped higher and out of Denis's normal strike zone, which is why you saw a lot of those wild misses. Fun fact, Rafa's most recent losses at the Australian Open have all come during the nighttime. Now, while it's easy to say that Shapo had an off day and the conditions were to blame, Nadal deserves a lot of credit for coaxing a lot of those errors. The 6th seed assumed a deeper position behind the baseline, while still managing to maintain decent height and depth on his own shots. Nadal's defensive skills were incredible during the opening 2 sets, which made the Canadian feel like he had to pull the trigger when he didn't need to. Rafa served incredibly the first half of the match, going after on his first and second serves, which often rushed the 22-year-old. He was also incredibly clutch on serve when his back was against the wall, squeaking out some crucial holes in the first, second, and fifth sets. Nadal also made a lot of returns last night and made Shapovalov work for a lot of his holds. Denis did start to settle down and continued to do his own part on serve. He had numerous opportunities in the second and third sets to break Rafa, but with how the Spaniard was serving, Denis couldn't practically make any return on neutral ball errors or it was a wrap. However, up 5-4 in the third set, Shapovalov took advantage of some poor serving from Nadal and broke through to shift the momentum in his favor. Denis's game only elevated from there as he started making a lot more returns back in play and jumped on his opponent's second serve, which helped him gain an early break in the fourth. Shapovalov backed up the break with some phenomenal serving himself as he did well to go up the middle to jam Nadal. Rafa seemed to be struggling physically during those third and fourth sets, calling for the trainer while grabbing at his stomach. The heat and honestly age seemed to be a major contributor, but the Spanish great, as he often does, fought past the adversity and an early breakpoint face in the fifth set to regain control of the match. He broke Denis in the second game of the decider, which was all he needed to get through the 4-hour tussle. I thought this was a very compelling and entertaining match, and the quality was pretty high throughout. I feel like Nadal was the better player here, so it's good that he was able to pull through, but I do feel like if Denis was a bit more opportunistic and cut down on those unforced errors at the tight moments, he could have definitely got the job done. I think nerves and Nadal's elevation in class contributed to the Canadians' more loose play in those first and fifth sets. He'll be disappointed, but this tournament has been a very positive step in the right direction. Hopefully he'll learn and only grow from this match. I just have to give my hat to Nadal for another incredible performance. I actually thought he played well throughout basically the entire match, even in the third and fourth sets. The difference in the decider was that he had a bit more energy to make that crucial push in Shapo's service games. Nadal said that he was destroyed physically, but relied heavily on his serve to get him through, and I agreed, that was his biggest weapon on court last night. He'll need to keep up this high level of serving in the semis versus 7th seed Matteo Berrettini, who inched past Gael Monfils 6-4, 6-4, 3-6, 4-6, 6-2. In the opening 2 sets, both men were playing solid tennis, but it was Berrettini who took the initiative, working Monfils side to side to gain the upper hand. Gael made a tactical change in the third and fourth sets, forgoing a more passive and defensive approach to challenge the Italian from the ground. Like we saw with Denis though, it's extremely difficult to make that one final push after coming back from 2 sets to love down. Berrettini had a bit more left in the tank both physically and mentally, outlasting Monfils in some early exchanges in the decider to go up a double break. The Frenchman continued to fight hard, but Berrettini was far too tough, closing the match out in a little less than 4 hours. This is going to hurt Monfils because, for one, it's another heartbreaking fifth-set quarters loss to Berrettini in a hard-court slam. Then, two, I'm sure he and countless others, including myself, thought that this was his best chance to possibly win a slam, especially with how well he's been playing this year, plus with Novak's departure. This month, he's shown us his potential when focused and truly hungry for success, so I hope he can continue this mentality throughout the rest of the season. And then Matteo, I've been very impressed by his run in Melbourne thus far. All of his matches have been well earned, especially that third rounder against Alcaraz, where he also stayed the course after losing the 2 sets to love advantage. He's a very complete player, and I think that he's underrated in that department. Some people have foolishly said that Berrettini is one of the most overrated players on tour, but when you look at it, his last 3 slam losses all came to Novak Djokovic, which means if he had a better draw in those other 2 slams aside from Wimbledon, he could have very well been a 3-time slam finalist. Djokovic isn't in the draw now though, so this could be his chance to have his big major breakthrough. I'll delve deeper into that Nadal-Berrettini matchup in my preview video, which will come out soon, before their Thursday encounter. Unfortunately, the women's quarterfinals last night weren't as compelling, as Madison Keys dominated 4th seed Barbora Krejcikova 6-3, 6-2. This was a very good win on Maddie's part, because Krejcikova looked like a very strong contender for the title, especially after her demolition of Azarenka the previous round. However, Keys has let everybody know that she's gunning for the title, with these last 2 routes over Paula Badosa and now Barbora. I think the third round struggle with Wang Qiang was a positive turning point for Keys. Maddie will definitely need to maintain this form in the semis, where she faces world number 1 Ash Barty, who absolutely clobbered American Jessica Pegula 2-0. I'm not surprised at all that Ash won because she has been the better player than Pegula this tournament, but to do it the way she did, ruthlessly with no mercy, was awe-inspiring. Something in Barty's mind clicked after being 6-4, 4-2 down against Coco Gauff in Adelaide, because since then she hasn't lost more than 7 games in any of her matches. I'll be talking more about this matchup in a preview video coming soon as well. Looking ahead to day 10, Danielle Collins looks to join her compatriot Keys in the final 4, but has to get by Halep and Muguruza Conqueror Cornet. Meanwhile, Iga Swiatek will face off against giant killer Kai Kanepi for a spot in her second slam semi. Jannik Sinner will look to notch another career milestone, going up against Stefanos Tsitsipas, while Daniil Medvedev and Felix Auger-Aliassime will battle it out in the night. That's it for this video, and let me know your thoughts on the results, plus the Nadal-Shapovalov drama in the comments. Do you agree that the Spaniard and other Big 3 members receive unfair special treatment? Also, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post the previews of the upcoming semifinal matches. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.